first of all, I really want to commend the Government on the UK Corporate Insolvency and Governance Act and for putting in place at such speed both temporary and permanent measures at such a deeply troubling time for businesses. My honourable friend will be pleased as I am, and possibly a bit surprised as I am, to see that statistics from the Insolvency Service show that the number of registered company insolvencies in March 21 was 20% lower than in the same month in 2020 and 37% lower than in March 2019. I certainly know of many businesses in my own constituency who have survived the pandemic only thanks to the extraordinary measures put in place by BEIS and the Treasury to help them get through. In the call for evidence that's outstanding on the performance of SIGA, it will be interesting to see if feedback from businesses suggest that they needed the temporary measures or the financial support or both, and to what extent. And certainly the evidence points to the fact that schemes like bounce-back loans, CBILS and furloughing have done a critical job in protecting lives and livelihoods. There may be the need in the future for further flexibility, and I would point out to my honourable friend interest on CBIL loans and potentially more support for weddings and events organisations may well be needed in the future to protect them. But I did just want to very briefly mention the bigger picture. My honourable friend will be only too aware that insolvency legislation isn't like the proverbial London bus. You don't get none coming along for years and then lots all at once. And so I do worry that whilst there have been some good permanent changes to the insolvency rules brought in with SIGA, there are nevertheless some areas, particularly of corporate governance, where during my own time in BEIS, I was keen to see some real reform. I do hope, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the audit reform work that's underway and the forthcoming Employment Rights Bill might offer vehicles for wider corporate governance changes. In particular, I would be keen to have an update from my honourable friend on what is still being done at BEIS to consider some specific issues, such as the roles and responsibilities of directors, the speed of insolvency evaluations post-fact, and also consideration of the responsibilities of board directors. We've seen some major corporate failures in recent years, including companies such as BHS, Carillion and Thomas Cook, and there have been very legitimate questions asked about the performance of the directors of those businesses, whose failure have had such a disastrous impact on lives and livelihoods. There's also the very real question about whether companies should do more through new statutory responsibilities to protect employees' pensions, to ensure diversity of the workforce, and, of course, importantly, to address their own carbon footprint. I hope that my honourable friend will be able to reassure me that these issues remain very live within his department, and I would be keen to know specifically if he can point me to forthcoming opportunities to press these matters further. So in concluding, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would encourage all those who have an interest in the whole broader issue of corporate governance to take part in the current call for evidence on insolvency rules. It's a great opportunity for business owners and industry professionals to give their feedback on these two important areas. And I do hope that the imperative of putting in place the excellent temporary measures to help businesses survive during the pandemic don't get in the way of the consideration of the bigger picture of good corporate governance.